everybody. Richard Dolan here for a courageous conversation.
Well, man, today, you're right. There's no going back.
How do you feel the weight of that desire?
I have been there for a while.
The story's still being written, and you cut the story short. As they say, I'm playing with house money.
They said, neo-fascist.
You can't imagine, Richard. I've heard everything now.
But I'll tell you what, you ain't never buying your time back. Value your time.
Nothing can humiliate me. I've already done that.
He said, you taught me there was more to life than pain, and that kind of opened the door for thousands and thousands of kids.
Like, you just show up no matter what. This is an opportunity to kind of delve into yourself and actually pull out what you might have in there.
It forced me to think about life after basketball.
And it's funny because people need to laugh.
You just pass it through, brother.
Once you start a courageous conversation, there ain't ever going back to an ordinary one.
What's up, everybody? Richard Dolan here for a courageous conversation like no other. And as you know, we've always spent time, about an hour, with icons, legends, and gods of commerce and culture. And we enjoy hearing what they're doing, just to not get by, not just to live their commitments, but to really have a courageous life in the things that matter most to them. And I'm so delighted to have invited my dear friend here, Russ Yeager. We've known each other for many moons. We were orbiting one another in the old 10X community. And from afar, I've always admired what he's been doing so far. You see, folks, before I have him say hello, Russ has been someone that I have to admit really got to me. He's someone that's been using social media as an incredible platform like we all do. And he has actually connected with me in a way that matters most. You see, he knows his target audience. Being a master in the world of health and fitness, I find him to be the everyday person's champion for a healthier, wealthier waistline. Understanding that you don't have to give up all the things that you love just to, in fact, fall back in love with the person you are physically, mentally, perhaps even, dare I say, quite frankly, healthily. So with that all being said, and to share with you, Russ, I've invited him to be here with us on a courageous conversation where we start talking about our relationship to our overall wellness, health, and fitness. My dear friend, Russ Yeager. What's up, Russ?
Richard, how you doing, brother? Great to see you, man.
So good to see you. And by the way, as I said in the introduction, and we said this prior to pressing record, I'm so impressed with a guy who had a vision, had a passion, clearly articulated it well enough to really zero in on their target audience. You know who you're talking to, because I got to be honest, I put my hand up every time when you post and I say, oh man, he's talking to me. I really feel like he's talking to me. And that's not easy. It's not easy to really cut through. So let's just start here. What got you so damn passionate, so on fire, so lit up doing what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, it goes back to my childhood, like I think a lot of us. So, today I turned 49 a week from yesterday. And, I'm in the best shape of my life in a lot of ways. I keep visible abs 365 days, a year, run circles around, guys half my age that feel incredible, and, run 3 businesses, I'm an investor, but have 3 young kids. But I don't say that to brag. I say it for inspiration because I didn't grow up that way. I don't have great genetics. I've had to work and scratch my whole life to get in shape. I grew up wearing the husky pants, if any of you guys can relate to that. And, I remember I had an incident with a VHS camera, if anybody can old enough to remember those, that kind of pissed me off. And I decided I was going to be one of those fit muscular guys, in the magazines. We didn't have, internet even back then. And I didn't know what I was doing, though, like a lot of us. I just started running because, that's what my dad did. And my body didn't change at all. I love to eat. Totally transparent about that. You know that, Richard. I'm not a fitness guy who's, all about chicken and broccoli. Like, I love cheeseburgers, tacos, pizza. I've won pizza eating contest. And I say that, for a couple of reasons. I say it because so many people think that you have to, eat quote unquote perfect, which it's debatable what that is anyway. And also people see people on social media, fitness people, with their abs showing, which number one, most people get in shape only for a few months a year, a few weeks a year, and get the right lighting and the airbrush and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're not looking shredded, year round. I do stay, really lean year round. But they think that like that is, it's unrealistic and impossible and it's easy for that person. Well, but I'm like, nobody loves eating more than me, dude. Nobody loves eating more than me. So it's been a challenge. Finally I got, I had some okay success kind of working out on my own and getting decent results, but I never got where I wanted. Finally, at 27 years old, I said, I'm going to get this part of my life taken care of. You get to that enough's enough moment. I hired a coach, a guy named Skip LaCour. He was the top natural bodybuilder at the time. He's in his 60s now, still shredded. Dude's amazing. We're good friends. And entered an international physique transformation contest, a little 12-week deal. Did the before pictures. I wasn't like massively obese, but I was, probably 22, 23, 24% body fat, soft. I went all in, man, hardcore, trained like a natural bodybuilder, got shredded, 5% body fat in 12 weeks. People won the contest, got sponsored by a supplement company, got to be a sponsored athlete at the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. And people at the gym or work are like, bro, like, what happened to you? And can you show me how to do it? And literally, Richard, I quit my job as a CPA. I was like, this is what God put me on earth to do, and never look back, man.
I love that because, for a lot of people who don't realize this, it is quite possible to turn a passion project into your profession. Turning a passion project into your profession is something that you've done. And noticing that you've been doing it, I love that, being fit doesn't have to be suffering well. I know that personally, as I personally struggle to stay in shape. And it's not like I'm obese either, but I know I need to be in better shape. I know what I do. I know what demands that is on my body, my mind. And gosh, I don't know about you, man, but I know that between travel and speaking and doing the work that I do, I get mentally fatigued because we're about the same age. I get mentally fatigued that I feel physically. So I know there's a need to recharge. So tell me, is it your belief that getting fit, being in shape, and having fun doing it isn't a matter of suffering well? It's actually about just being smarter with how you're doing it.
100%. And first of all, I know, a lot of your audience is business owners, entrepreneurs, investors. Like, I literally believe it's not just something that is a nice thing to do that helps you. It should be on your business plan. Because, I tell entrepreneurs, that's the hardest thing, is to get them that they know they need to be in better shape. They need to take care of themselves, but they're busy. They're busy building their wealth and taking care of their family and all that. I asked them, like, if you had a, $1 billion piece of equipment in your company asset, that was the most important thing in your company, would you run it 24/7, redline it, never new maintenance on it, and hope and pray it doesn't break down? And of course not. But, you are the most important asset, even if it's not physically, your mental, capacity, your leadership. And so helping people understand that first, and then getting on that business plan, it's been proven. I mean, there's studies, but also, like, you could just see it, when you feel good, when you have energy, when you walk into that, business meeting, either in person or on Zoom, a different man or woman, where you have what I call that magnetic attractiveness that makes people want to do business with you. Just like you, man. I mean, I didn't have a person reach out to you, hey, Russ should be on your podcast. You see my videos, you're like attracted, that energy attraction. I want to talk to that guy. I resonate with you. And you said it with the social media, like, I'm just myself. At this point, I won that contest 20 years ago. Now I'm 48 going on 49. Like, I'm not trying to, I guess I speak to people in that audience just because I'm being myself. I'm talking like from a 49-year-old guy's perspective with 3 kids, running 3 companies, that can still actually, be in shape and make time for it. And, to answer your question, yeah, I did the whole natural bodybuilding thing for a long time, working out 2 hours a day, weights in the morning, cardio at night, eating chicken and broccoli every 2 hours. And that works. I actually trained my clients like that early on. In 3 months, they all look incredible. What I saw is most of them went back, because that's not realistic or sustainable. So what I do now is I take those same principles, but I work out, 3 to 4 times a week. I work out hard, but I don't kill myself. I work out very hard, intelligently, very strategically. I eat very strategically, using foods that I actually enjoy and fitting in anything I want. I can eat anything I want. We can talk more about that. I know that sounds weird. And I'm just ridiculously consistent for long periods of time.
I got to just slipstream with you for a moment and say something, because I'm making notes here. And if you're writing down notes too, this is Russ Yeager. I mean, if you're not following him, follow him. You must. I follow him on Instagram because his stories are incredible. His dailies are rad. I totally love him. And largely because, and you said this earlier on, it's to me, it's healthy versus vanity. I mean, people are, yes, getting in shape for that short window, whether it's a weekend away or whether they're heading to Ibiza or whether they know they're going to be on camera or people will be taking pictures when the ego's at stake, so to speak. But you call it a lifestyle. And what I love about that is it really, for me, sounds like really claiming your freedom. Because if you don't make time for that health, then you're going to end up actually, in fact, blowing through your wealth. We're going to start chasing getting back those years. We're going to try to reverse the aging process, et cetera. Well, let's get to something else. I recall there was a video where you talked about having interviewed a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are really go-getters. I love that you talk about redlining your own asset like a business. But what you said was the two things people always would say that they don't have much of to get in shape or to make health and fitness a priority was money and time, right? Money and time, because they're working, they've got priorities, 3 kids, several businesses. I mean, I empathize, I understand. I'm a dad too. What do you think is the main thing that will have someone break through, saying, forget about the money, forget about the time, this matters? What drives someone to that aha moment in your experience of doing what you've been doing for all these years?
Yeah, and unfortunately for a lot of people, it's a wake up call from the doctor where like you get a report like, dude, if you don't change something, you ain't going to be here in 5 years or 10 years. And they have kids, and that's enough to give that wake up call. Unfortunately, it gets to that. I like to get to people before it gets to that, but usually it's, this, there's 2 main, motivators. You've got pleasure and pain. And yeah, people want to look good at the beach. They want to feel good. They want to have energy, but the bigger indicator is pain. And so, when I'm talking to people, there's usually they've been thinking about it in a long time. And there's usually something that happened. They went on a hike with their family and they couldn't get up the mountain, and it felt like crap. Their kids, are wanting to throw the football, and they realize like after 5 minutes, they have to sit down, because they're exhausted. This is a big one, Richard. Like, we know that might surprise some people. We know, ladies have a ridiculous amount of pressure to look, a certain way in society. And as guys, dad bods become cool. Like, we don't care. You'd be shocked when I talk to guys, and then, dads specifically, and then they finally open up. They're like, Russ, like, we go on our summer trip every year, and I try to make excuses to be on a business call so I don't have to go down to the pool and take my shirt off. Wow. I hate it, and I don't want to be that way anymore. So we're, I think as guys, we're, just as insecure about our bodies as ladies, and that it's yes, the body is important. Yes, it's fun to look good. That increases confidence, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also, the health, the energy, everything goes with it. And I used to think you had to decide. Like, my life revolved around, natural bodybuilding for a long time, and that's, not where I am anymore. To me now, it used to be all about the abs. I want to be shredded, right? Whatever. And now that I'm older, I want to be fit, healthy. I want to be strong for my family, my kids. We started late, with young kids. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be here a long time. I want to leave a legacy. But I also want to, eat real foods. I did the whole chicken and broccoli thing for years. It didn't work for me. I like pizza, ice cream, cheeseburgers, and I want to have the abs. And so I've been asking myself, can you have it all? And the answer is yes, if you have an intelligent, consistent plan and follow it.
Well, it's important. I mean, you mentioned the fact that the greatest motivators, one being, of course, pain and one being pleasures. And I know pleasures are easy for us to focus on, but I also know that it should also be a matter of understanding your pleasures, but also your priorities. And you've cited your children several times now. And I get that as a dad, walking my daughter down the aisle, as you said, is really not just, as I've come to call, leaving a legacy. That is your legacy. So it really is what I've often said, Russ, check this out, is that legacy is something that we think is something we leave, like as an object. We talked about these books, and I'm leaving them for my son, and they're collections from great, wonderful literary icons. But it don't matter. My son says, Dad, you leave those books, I'm selling them the instant you're gone, so I can put that money into the things that matter most to me. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So what actually shapes what we leave is defined by not the stuff we leave behind, but the way we live, the way we lead, the way we love. That shapes what we leave. That's the definition of legacy. And I love that you're so committed to that future state, that future experience. And a lot of people have those aha moments where it's like, gosh, wake up call, doctor says, if you don't quit this, or you had a near-death experience, or you simply have gotten a disgusting moment where you thought, my gosh, I don't fit into these clothes any longer. I got to now buy yet another set of clothes or another suit to fit into. So with all of that behind us, tell me, as you're moving forward, I have to be honest, I notice that the world has finally begun to shift a little. I know you sense it too. I feel like having conversations about health and fitness is easier given the amount of information that's out there. But what role is disinformation playing right now? Real case in point, my son sprains his ankle. He's a little basketball player that really rocks it hard. He measures in the top 1% of a league in which he's in, but he twists it in the final play, which wasn't necessary. And I'm talking like a dad, wasn't necessary. They were up 20 points. They're going to win a tournament, 14 seconds to go. And he's scrambling in the paint for a rebound like it mattered. Comes down, sprains it. Now he's out for the league that he's in right now. And I said, well, listen, let's make sure we take care of this properly. Why don't you just Google it? But when he Googles it, I notice, and he notices, that there's so many different recommendations. You should ice it. You should heat it. It's rice, rests, elevation. Oh, no, that's wrong. How do you, my friend, being a leader inside this space, what role do you find disinformation now plays while cutting through that noise?
Dude, it's a big issue. I mean, you think about it like, it used to be, you're supposed to eat every 2 hours, right? To keep your metabolism going. No, intermittent fasting, right? You're that's healthier for you, right? Your body takes too much energy to digest. Fruits and vegetables obviously are good for you. Oh, wait. And meat is terrible. It's going to kill you. Now there's people, it's the opposite. Vegetables, have tiny crystals in them that'll, cause inflammation. You should eat only meat. It's hard. Like, it's confusing. Don't eat after 6 p.m., right? No carb, low carb, keto, like, what are you supposed to do? So it's confusing. So for me, myself, I like, number one, focusing on the basics, right? A lot of people, when you're talking about food specifically, people talk about all these diets, all this advice mostly is the what to eat and the when to eat, right? The how, nobody talks about the how much. That's the biggest problem. Like obesity, being overweight is what's causing most of these problems. Yes, there's, issues with GMO foods and, all that kind of stuff and seed oils. But people get focused, I think, on the wrong thing. Like, just stop eating so friggin' much and move your body. So, basics in terms of exercise. I'm a big believer in strength training. We can get into the reasons why. I think most people know that, but I think a lot of people still don't understand how good it is for you, and why it's superior to cardio, in my opinion. But to answer your question, man, I'm always learning, like, as I get older, like the recovery stuff, the ice baths, the sauna, red light therapy, I'm looking into stem cells. Like, I'm always looking for that edge. So to answer your question, like, I get around, you're a master networker. You have an incredible network. I strive to do the same thing from a business standpoint and health standpoint. So I get around people like, Gary Brecka, who are, like Chris Crone, who are really wise in this area. They have connections, and I learn from them. But I also don't just take everything, face value. I'm like, okay, does this make sense? Let me try it on myself. I tell this to my clients all the time. I'm going to be the guinea pig. If it makes sense, if I think it's safe, I'm going to try it. If I see a benefit, I'm going to share that, with others. If I don't, then I'll share my opinion. But it's a problem, man. So I think it's really getting, around experts that you trust, but also using your intuition and your logic, not to just take that, because somebody, as Jim Rohn says, somebody can be completely sincere, but they can be sincerely wrong as well.
Yeah, what I love about you right now is that you are presentation over promotion. And what I mean by that is, I've often said that if you're not following, listening, or learning from someone who's a living demonstration, the total embodiment of who or what it is they say they are, then it's just promotion. It's not presentation, as in, here's who I am, and if you want to learn too, you can also. I love that you're really, in essence, the bravest soul at the front of the pack. You're the sharpest end of the spear, where you're cutting through all the noise, you're learning for yourself, you're doing the research, you're, as you called yourself, the guinea pig. But I rather say the pioneer. I feel like you're really pioneering the learning curve for people. That's what I appreciate as a follower of yours, as a friend of yours, where I'm getting to learn stuff you've already learned for me. So I don't have to go through countless hours of YouTube or go into the gym and say, hey, dude, you got a great body, man. Like, tell me what you're doing to look so good, and then come home with a black eye for saying something inappropriate. It could be uncomfortable, this learning curve, right? It could be uncomfortable. And then all that noise is very difficult. All the disinformation is very difficult. Tell me, how do you get the real core team, the family, your bride, those kids? How important is it to have them on your side, living and having a healthy lifestyle? Are they chowing down in the background, laughing at you as you're keeping fit and doing more, or are they on the same page with you?
No, they're totally on the same page. It doesn't mean they think or do exactly like me. And first, I just want to speak to what you said about, me. You said the presentation. I've heard it said that way. Like, I'm just being me. Like, I don't claim to be the smartest guy. I don't like look at all the research. I look at some research, but I'm not like scientific-y. I'm not technical. I'm not the strongest guy. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the youngest guy. But I'm a guy, a regular guy who grew up chubby, who wanted to be fit, figured it out, and for the last 22 years has been managed to figure out how to stay in shape despite going through different challenges, despite going through, all of, life stuff that we have, having kids, getting married, transforming in business. And I think people appreciate, I'm not a guy who eats perfect, but I figured out how to be consistent. And I think that's what, maybe like yourself, people are attracted to, because they realize, okay, man, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. Where sometimes it seems kind of, unattainable. You see somebody who just talks about how, their 6-hour morning routine and they're taking, 10,000 supplements, and which I do take a lot of supplements, but it just seems like I can't do that. So right. I'm here to, my message is like, you can do it. And with the family, like my wife is totally in the, work.
I'm being so rude as a host of this damn
That's
podcast.
Okay, man.
That's the rudest thing to ever do in a podcast, but I got to underscore something because it's important for you to get it. And especially for people listening and my audience, the folks who have found me as their friend and have been faithful will appreciate this, because a lot of people who listen to the show, a lot of people who follow me and are members of my Rich You community are people who are just like you and me. They've got a full-time show. They got a full-time gig. They're a full-time mom or dad. And they have a passion for something else, and they are really trying hard to make that work. But here's my point. When I say you're a presentation over promotion, it's you don't make it feel like I've got to be a poster child too. People identify with you, Russ, because you've been at it struggling for 22 years. You ain't got it perfect. You just self-profess that. So you're always like a work in progress. But that's just the human condition. We are all a work in progress. So I really do feel it's important to underscore this, rudely interrupt, to just put this up on the board for a minute, to make very clear that it's not about the how you appear. It's not even about the how you'll look. And it's not even about the way you'll feel. It's all of that. It's elevating the standard of your lifestyle using fitness, health, and approaching the way in which you consume and move a little bit more differently so you can adopt it more consistently and forever. Like, that's what I love. That's what you embody. You're not a quick fix. And I think that's important for people to hear, is that whether you're a coach, a life coach, a business consultant, a speaker, people don't want to hear your promotion. They want to hear you being the presentation, right? The total embodiment of doing this for so long and showing how people can too. So I want you to really own that. That's just me being a little bit of a bully on this, but it's my show. I can do that.
I love it, dude. I mean, we've known each other a while. We haven't spent a ton of time together. I guess this shows the power of social. I'm like, man, this guy really knows what I'm all about.
100%. But that just goes to show that faith in you is a process. But I interrupted you, so I want to get back to what you were saying, because I know you're about to chat about the family, but I that deserves another a page turner. That's a page turner. The family's a page turner. But I want to make sure that was clean, is that you keep doing that. You keep perfecting your approach to perfecting your relationship to health and wealth, because I appreciate that. As a follower, I appreciate that.
It was a perfect interruption. I knew this conversation was going to be amazing because of your energy and I knew I wanted to talk with you. So it's perfect, dude. So with my family, I mean, one of the things that attracted me to my wife was, that she was into fitness, into health, absolutely beautiful. But, not just on the outside, but on the inside. That's actually why I decided to marry her. It was just a bonus that she was beautiful and still beautiful, more beautiful, actually. And
by the way, that's a great thing to say after 3 kids. You got, for all men watching this or women, following children, if they're more beautiful, that's a perfect statement to make any time of year.
It's totally true. She can hear me, so I'm probably getting some points. But if you came in here, I put her on camera, you'd understand. So, dude, like we work out different. Like, I like going to the gym. I like it. I like being in there, that environment. She works out at home, and does videos at home and weights. Like, so we don't typically work out together, but we're on the same page. And I'll tell you, like, you're a dad. To me, it's the hardest job in the world. Like, I feel like don't know what I'm doing. I'm failing all the time. But one thing I think we're getting right, and it's not because we're talking about it, it's because we both consistently work out. Again, we don't eat perfect, but we put a focus on what we're putting in our bodies. Our kids, we'll see them now. They'll be doing push-ups, sit-ups. Mommy, can I work out with you? Daddy, when am I old enough to go to the gym? Can I, let me run sprints? is this healthy? Is that healthy? My favorite food's broccoli, but I know I can have some fun foods. So I know that we're rubbing off on them positively in that way. And that's one of the other things, like with dads and moms, think like, well, I don't want to go to the workout, take away time from my kids. I want to be there for them. Like our kids, yes, they need our presence, but they also, they need to see you as an example. Like I've learned my kids don't listen to what I say, they watch what I do. So if they see you, you're just telling them you can be whatever you want, you do anything you want, you're unstoppable, but they see you, overweight, tired, unhealthy, then they're not gonna listen to you, and you're gonna set a bad example.
I love that you're saying all this, especially talking about the kids. We've got a lot of people who, of course, have got kids, and some even got new ones, and some, should they be blessed, they're on the way. But what's amazing about it is, first of all, I love what you've made the statement about you're failing all the time about being a dad. And this is a great message to everybody, which is not about parenting, but it's important to say is that if you're failing all the time as a parent, then you are doing it perfectly right, because it means you are all hands on being one. I mean, you can't fail if you ain't on it, right? You can't fail if you're not doing it. But for someone who's absent, that's the ultimate failure. So well done to you and your bride, number one. Number two is, man, I remember I used to be working out in my gym, and I got a crazy good gym at home, so that when I do travel, if I don't want to get out, I've got a home gym. And I remember my guy was very young. He'd be like, let's say 3 or 4 years old, and he'd want to be with pops. But I would give him sandbags to move from one corner of the gym to the other. I had all kinds of medicine balls and even squeezy balls inside of a container, and I'd pour them all out and say, why don't you put them all back in? Safely allowing him to be in the gym without it being about the barbells or the cables or the bands. Because I mean, if his mother walked down and saw him playing with bands and cables, it'd be all over for me. So case in point is conditioning them to understand that it's not something they have to do, it's something we get to do. And it's a nice, fun experience of working out. We don't have to train for a competition, although that's fun and amazing, epic, but also a bit daunting. But we do it because it feels good. And the more they see it feels good, and it does actually get experienced out as feeling good, it becomes a place that's not so scary or intimidating. It's not a place they have to get to fix something. It's something they get to do, just like going for a bike ride or skateboarding in the park. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they have fun doing it. And they remind me that it's okay to have fun. Sometimes I get into just, beast mode, get it done, push through. Like, it's okay to have fun while you're doing it too.
I know I
always tell people the 2 types of workouts you should do is, number one, something you enjoy. So actually do it. And then second, you got to do the strength training, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no, I love it. Just really quickly, I want to make sure that people understand it's Russ Yeager, just spelled exactly as you've heard it. Get to his Instagram account. I mean, I'm just going to show us up to the screen. It's a fantastic, well, I got all my lights here on my face. Your content's daily. I help busy professionals over 40 get shredded and feel incredible. And here's my favorite. Feel incredible without giving up pizza or ice cream. I mean, how did you know? How did you know? How hard is it for people to really get in shape at the age of 40, let alone at the age of 30? What have you found, my friend?
Harder than when you're 20, but not that hard. It's more hard mentally. I mean, the cool thing, you think about it, like I'm really grateful that I got this part of my life taken care of at 27 years old, and I've been able to keep it. So the best time to do something about it was 20 years ago. Next best time is now, because it does get harder. But the cool thing is I work with people in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I have clients in their 70s that have never done anything. And if you think about it, you got 20, 30, 40, 50 years of an unhealthy lifestyle. Fitness is no part of your life. If you take, I always tell people you're 1 year away from a lifestyle transformation. You focus a year of this, you can master this part of your life for the rest of your life, and make not just the physical body and health changes, completely change your blood work, completely change what you look like and feel like, but have the tools, mindset, and discipline. This is my main goal for my clients, not just to help them transform their bodies, but to give them the tools, mindset, discipline, knowledge, and most important, belief and identity that they can, keep this and get better and better for the rest of their life. That's pretty cool. And then from a physical, 6 months away from, really maybe not being 100% there, so depending on your physical goals, making a complete transformation. 3, if you want to go aggressive, I mean, and some of, you can see some of the stories on my page. I mean, people in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, like dropping 25, 30 pounds of fat, but 3 months, again, I did my transformation in 3 months. But, again, what I found is really dedicating yourself to at least 6 months, ideally a year, you can master this part of your life, which is pretty cool considering you didn't do anything for 30, 40, 50 years. So it's definitely harder. Hormones are real, things change. I saw something, I feel 28 until I hang around 28-year-olds and I feel 48. So it's different, but man, you can do so much, and you can build muscle. It's been proven into your, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So it's never too late.
What kind of time would it take, though, as we begin to wind down the latter half of our chat? Because I think we can talk about this forever. Let's get into some practical thinking, and let's get into some practical doing. How much time do I need, let's say, if I really wanted to shift my body, how it appears and how it feels inside the next 6 to 12 months? How much time is that going to cost me a week if I had to really start mapping it out through my calendar, especially with a new year on the horizon? I don't want to make this not evergreen, but in this particular conversation, we're winding down a Q4. So tell me, what would it look like if I want to really set the trajectory different? How much time do I need on a weekly basis, Russ?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's not going to cost you any time, because you're going to have to invest time, but the energy, the production, and then what I call that magnetic attractiveness, where you just have that confidence, and you already have it. But where people just like you reach out to me, Chris, I'm partnered with Chris Crone now. I didn't go seek him out. I didn't even know who he was. He found me, and because of my energy, wanted to partner with me. And that stuff happens all the time. So that's what I want to say first, is like that investment, you're going to get way back, not in just health, energy, relationship, but in actual financial and business gain. And then here's the deal, man, like the consistency and the intentionality is way more important than the frequency or time. So I've trained 6 days a week, for 2 hours. It works, but guess what? I was pretty tired all the time, and it ruled my life. I work out 3 to 4 days a week, strength training. And the reason I do strength training, I know I've said this a few times, is it's what's going to transform your body. The only thing that's going to build, lean muscle, shape your body. Every pound of lean muscle you build burns an extra 20 to 40 calories a day. So my average male client puts on, 10 to 20 pounds of muscle first year. Females put on 5 to 10 pounds. Let's say you put on, 10 pounds of lean muscle. You're burning an extra 200 to 400 calories a day, all day long, just by existing. So, just like I know you're a real estate investor, passive income's awesome. I call this passive fat burning, and it's cool. It's kind of like the longer you do it too, I don't want to say easy, but you're talking about I've been struggling. It's to stay in the shape I'm in now is pretty easy. If I want to progress, I need to get focused in. But it's kind of like investing. Once you get to a point where you've got, like Grant Cardone's got $5 billion in real estate, it's kind of hard to stop that. It's kind of the same thing with your body. The more you do it, the faster your metabolism gets. The more you don't even have to count calories, just kind of do it subconsciously. It's kind of easy. So if you can invest, I'd say 3 to 4 hours of strength training, again, doing a very intentional plan, right intensity, and we can get into that if we have time, we may not, then you can eat properly. And, to simplify it for time, what I do for my clients, and there's more to it than this, but to really simplify it, definitely from a fat loss and body transformation standpoint, health is another issue. I have a whole talk I do on the difference between eating healthy and eating to look good, not the same thing. You get your calories right, get in a calorie deficit that's big enough to lose body fat, but not so big you're starving, hangry, and that's kind of how you should be a little hungry. Teach my clients to get excited about the hunger. Most of us think of my kids like, I'm hungry, I got to immediately eat. That's how we are. No, like, it's okay, good, welcome that. Cool, I'm burning fat when you're hungry. Little hungry, but not starving. And you get your calories right and your protein right. And protein's important because protein is the only macronutrient that's going to build that lean muscle. And again, our whole body, not only is that going to increase that metabolism like we talked about, our whole bodies are made of protein. And if you look at like the research from a health standpoint, like lean body, there's a doctors now talking about how it's always been said obesity is the biggest indicator of health problems and health risk. A lot of them are saying now that lean muscle mass is as important or more important than the body fat. So the strength training, again, for your ligaments, your joints, your bones, so important. And then from a cardio standpoint, like I would say, if you get your strength training right, your food right, you don't have to do any cardio. Like, we think of cardio, I got to run, I got to walk, I got to do the bike. If you're lifting hard, like you're getting that cardio. If you want to burn fat faster, I'm a big fan of walking. So to sum it up, I lift 3 to 4 times a week. I eat, intentionally, get my calories right, my protein right, and I walk aim for, about 10,000 steps a day. And when I'm walking, I believe in no extra time. I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to an audio book, I'm doing phone calls, I'm getting outside, I'm getting my vitamin D, which is super good for me. So 3 to 5 hours a week, man, with intentionality is going to get it done for you.
I love it. I love it. And what you're turning me on for is a challenge, because just as you talked a bit about real estate investing, I think getting in shape and or making a commitment to being healthier is just like your first investment. It takes you a long time to get to that serious deployment of cash, the signing in the authorization of a loan. And then once you do your first deal, the second deal becomes easier and on you go. I feel like a great fit plan is a little bit the same. It feels like it's daunting, don't know where it might fit, not sure where to start, not knowing how it's going to go. But the minute you start, and at least if you've got yourself a short window to say, hey, how did that go? Are 30-day challenges still a great place for someone to test drive your thinking, a thought provoker, a man who's actually already demonstrating how it's working? Is 30 days enough to say, wow, I actually moved the needle for myself, whether in weight or feeling or vitality or strength? Is that enough time? Can someone blast through in 30 days and say, hey, I took the challenge and look at me now?
It is. And you're 100%, right on that. Like, people think like they should be great at this right away. Like, it's this new skill. I tell people, go take imperfect action and you're going to get better and better and better as you go. So I struggle with this because, there's that 30-day, that 6-week, challenge mindset is so popular, and people will get focused for that time frame. And 30 days, if you're doing the right things, you can make significant body changes, if you're focused, which is cool. It's a great return on investment. The problem is that's your only mindset. You don't have a bigger long-term vision of making it a lifestyle. You're always going to go up and down. But I believe both are important, because if your only goal is to be healthy and fit for life, there's no deadline or sense of urgency. So my belief for myself, what I try to instill in my clients and others, make this a lifestyle. It's just what you do. Think about your legacy, your longevity, but then set these little mini goals. Like, we'll do 6-week challenges. We partner with a company. We just finished one. And I'll have clients, lose 25, 30 pounds of fat, like go from no abs to shredded in 6 weeks, because guess what? They have a reason to, and they have that intentionality. But the key is, after you finish that challenge, okay, what's your next, mini goal so that you don't fall off?
Wait. You're telling me I can have my first ab in 6 weeks?
You could. I don't know if you have them now. You're in pretty good shape. Yes.
Well, listen, you're a good man. You're one of my trusted, most favorite followers. So thank you for that. But I've got to tell you, I got a birthday too coming up in 6 weeks. I know I'm going to be on a beach somewhere, and I'm going to be sharing it with a handful of people. I'm going to tell you something. I'll put myself in that seat. I'll take on a 6-week challenge. And I want to see what it's like, because here's what I want to get to. I love that you talked about it being a lifestyle choice, but what I'm talking to, and it's probably me just projecting, is I'm coming at it a little bit like a cynic, where I've seen and have subscribed to lots of apps, and I see the programs already being marketed this time of year. I've seen the books come and go. I know that part of the conversations around fitness is always very much a fad, like it's the flavor of the season. So I'm being a cynic when I say, hey, if I took a 30-day approach, if I test drove, let's say, Russ Yeager myself, and for 30 days, I wanted to see that his thinking actually works with my disciplined approach, because it takes a committed action. I get that. But if in 30 days I move the needle, gosh, this guy does know what he's talking about. And geez, I can keep going for the next 12, 18 months, expanding my programs and my approaches. Is that not a smart way to extinguish the cynicism?
Yeah, man, it's funny with the whole 30-day thing, because I was working with my marketing company, and they're like, you need, I'm like, I have my Body Transformation University. It's a 52-week program. End of the week, into that you'll be transform everything, your mindset, your body, best shape of your life. And they're like, yeah, but that's too long. You need to do lose 20 pounds in 7 days. And I'm like, I get that. So we settled on a 30-day, I have a 30-day body transformation kickstart program. And it's intense. And if you follow it for 30 days, you will make dramatic changes in losing body fat, gaining muscle, energy, and creating momentum. But it's a start, because what good is it to do that for 30 days if you don't have a plan to continue it? So yeah, man, it's becoming, I'm all about whatever inspires people. And if fast results typically inspire people. So I'm like, look, when I work with clients, the first thing, do you want to be moderate or do you want to be more aggressive? I want to be aggressive. Most people, cool. Here's what aggressive looks like. And here's the downside and the pain. I don't know if pain's the right word, but the more challenges you're going to have to go through. And it's not like the information is there. It's not that like my plan's good. It's not like it's you're going to get in there and it's some like unknown mind blowing thing. It's just doing it consistently. And that's the hardest part. People don't need more information. They need to take action. They need accountability. They need a strong why and driving purpose. And then what we do is have a strong community, of people. I believe that that's one of the biggest things missing, especially today, is having a strong community of people that are going to hold you accountable, cheer you on. Like, it's not anybody can get excited about a fitness program and work out when it's new and I'm excited. But what about 6 weeks later, 16 weeks later, 16 months later, 16 years later? I said it earlier. It's that if I had one key to success, it's figuring out how to create long-term consistency.
Yeah. And what I'm saying, it doesn't just impact your industry. I believe it impacts every industry, the human betterment business, the leadership development business, sales coaching, all industries, where I believe there's a confidence crisis. We've become so savvy at marketing, no thanks to social media, the platforms that really hyper connect us with lots of people. And it just seems like everyone's a pro. Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's a master of their domain. But until you call BS and really call forth the real science and thinking, or the pragmatism and the approach with absolute proof that I can see. I don't know if you're noticing on the news lately. I mean, there's now this statement that news channels now declare when reporting news on some of these interesting geopolitical events that are really unearthing, which are unnerving. But the statement is not third party verified. So they'll report news, but say we haven't verified through third party. There used to be a day where the news was the news. But now what's happened in the world of news is that news reporting has got to now declare that they've not, in fact, confirmed the reports through a third party. So this verification process is now a real thing. So what I'm saying to you about that 30-day approach, I get it. I completely approve that having an approach to your fitness and your health and the relationship to being better isn't a 30-day commitment. What I'm saying is it is a lifelong commitment. However, is that if trusting the thought leadership you're leaning in on, or believing that you're following the right playbook, I don't know if 52 weeks later I can afford a whole year of following Russ. But if I get into that Kickstart program and I know he's actually the real deal because I see the results, by gosh, I'm going to stick to the whole plan. And I think that's what's needed to restore our confidence in thought leaders like you and I. Is because we're all being sold at the back of the room. We're all jumping on free calls that end up in, a multi-$1,000 investment to get the real truth or to get the real tool. So I think I think people like you and I really deserve the opportunity of saying, hey, let me go for a test drive. Let me have a little bit of a taste test. Let me put in a little bit of an investment. So there's some skin in the game, but let me just make sure I've got the opportunity of getting out or opting out if this just doesn't work for me or I don't see the results I need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And I have two sides to that. What you just said from the consumer standpoint, 1,000,000%. The challenge with that, and I'll tell somebody, like, I'll be straight with them. Here's how long you need. Here's what it's going to take. Right. And you can do that. You can do, 30 days, you can do nothing. Right. But the problem with that, the starting with the 30-day is that if somebody's got a 1 year or a 2 year, prescription they need, and they've got 30 years of negative beliefs. It's not so much the physical, but it's the beliefs of, I can't do it. I can only do it for 30 days. They're kind of setting themselves up, I believe, internally that, hey, I'm just dipping my toe in. And again, I get it. And I believe that's better than nothing. But for me personally, at this point, like, I want to work with people who are at that point where, like, I'm doing this. I'm committed. I need to, there's like, I'm drawing a line in the sand and there's nothing that's going to stop me. And if they want to work with me, hey, you're my guy, let's, do your research, make sure. So I think it's better than nothing, but there's pros and cons, like these 6-week challenges. I always tell my clients, there's a lot of pros to it, but there's cons to it too, because it continues to create that 60-day, 30-day, 75 hard mentality. Whereas what people need, it doesn't matter if you were in shape for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. What matters is if you can stay in shape for the rest of your life.
And here's where this conversation is starting to become what I would call a collaborative one, because we're now actually having a conversation, not an interview, where I'm showcasing who you are and why I like you, and you're telling people what it is they need to do and how they can do it. Where we just cracked open a different dimension of the conversation.
I'm interrupting you now, but here's the deal. I'm coming.
Who show us this, damn it?
I know. I owe you one. My coach standpoint, I know that this will work for you. I can help you. I see the outcome because I've seen it for thousands of clients for 20 years, but I need to listen to you as the consumer that doesn't know that yet.
Well, and here's what I was going to say, and I'm glad that you contextualize what I was about to say collaboratively, is this, is as a 40-plus-year-old entrepreneur, I got to be straight with you, man. I don't know if I trust myself. I don't know if I trust myself. I don't know if I believe that I can do what you're saying you've seen. And I don't know if you know me well enough to say I'm even worth cross-referencing to the experiences that you've gotten. So what I'm saying, as maybe this is a marketing conversation, maybe this is a collaboration, I am in for your 52-week program. I just want to say, hey, do I get a test drive, let's say for 30 or 60 days, to say, hey, are you the right guy? And am I the right person for your program? But what I want you to consider is that being busy as an entrepreneur, and many people listening to this, I don't know if I have enough proof on my scoreboard to say that I can follow a plan, the one that you'll prescribe, and really get the result I've been looking for. Right?
You just keyed in on the biggest thing that stops people is their self-doubt.
Sure.
It's not the doubt. Some people, they don't know me or whatever coach they're looking at. And people can do this without a coach, right? Again, it's not that complicated, but it's typical. Sometimes they have questions. I doubt, is your program going to work? That's usually not the doubt. It's that self-doubt is usually the biggest thing. And I look at it, my biggest job, Richard, is like the X's and O's of getting in shape are not that complicated. Again, it's a learning curve. Once you learn, it's not that complicated. My biggest job is to see more in people than they see in themselves and help them believe that they can do it, because so many people don't believe in themselves anymore.
Well, here's what I will say. If you're 40 plus, you have to do it, because if you don't, when you're in your 50s, you'll feel like you're in your 60s. And when you hit your 60s, you'll feel like you're 90. I mean, it is a slippery slope the older we get. And I'm not just saying that just from experience. I am an advisor to 90-year-old entrepreneurs. I mean, billionaires who are titans of industry. One in particular, his name is Frank Stronach. He founded Magna International. I mean, this is a 30 billion annual sales business, automotive industry, parts manufacturer. I mean, this guy is more fit than me, and he's 91. And he says it best. He goes, the only reason why that mattered to him was because he knew that the minute he became a billionaire, he needed to be worth that equally so physically. You can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're not going to enjoy the time with your 3 kids. You're not going to enjoy the risk and the imminent reward from having taken it years and decades, maybe even a generation ago, if you can't physically be around to really enjoy it. I mean, we're not talking about the years you're around. We're talking about the years you are able to enjoy being around. And that period of time is a very important one. So Russ, I mean, I could go on with you forever, and I know we'll likely have a second conversation, but here's what I want to declare. One, for the listeners, follow Russ Yeager. You need to listen to him daily. I love his content. I know you will too, number one. Number two is, if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you've got to really preserve and protect the machine that matters most, and that's your body. So really research this. And to actually really fortify the second point, I'm going to sign up with your program. I definitely want to do the 52-week program. I want to make the next year coming the best year I've got, so that I can really alter the trajectory for myself. So I'm all in on you, Russ. I want to do it while eating pizza and still having ice cream, if that's the deal.
I love it. That's the deal. It's just got to be intentional. A lot of people miss that. They're like, oh, I can just eat as much pizza. They see me eating pizza or ice cream, and they think I'm just eating it. No, it's intentional. It's calculated, but you 100% can do it.
No, 100% I'm in. So let's, once our interview's over, we're going to talk shop and see how that happens. So for a lot of people, what's the first thing that people should really be doing? I'm talking about following you, listening to you, but what would you love them to do? For those who are listening to this courageous conversation with the Russ Yeager, a living demonstration for being fit beyond your imagination, 40 plus and over, what would you want people to do? Where should they start?
Yeah, I'd love for people to take some kind of inspired action and make a decision to do something. Even if it's just, if it's that, man, I've been thinking about my health for a long time. I should be doing something, again, start eating better. Start walking every day, join the gym and start going, hire a trainer, hire a coach, like do something versus just, oh, that was a good conversation. That guy's, got energy, whatever, like go do something, make a decision, make a commitment, and actually take some action. And again, going back to take imperfect action.
Okay, so hold on a second. The people that listen to the show are A-types, go-getters. I mean, they're 10Xers. I mean, they want to live rich in the things that matter. They're beyond that. They're going to go outside, get in the sun, start moving. They got that. But how do they begin with you? If they were to go to your website or hit you up on IG, do you do a consultation? Would you do an assessment? Would you enter yourself with them a dialogue on where they can start and how they can begin?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they can hit me up on IG. I mean, they can go send an email to teamruss@russyeager.com and just put Richard Dolan in the subject line. So I'll look for those, and I'd be happy to get on the phone with anybody that's in your community and talk to them about their situation and see if I can help them. 100%.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I've never done this before, but I'm prescribing to your platform, and I want to see what we can do with this piece of granite in your fine, capable hands. So,
I love it, man. You're my favorite type of client. I like helping people. I love helping people that are, 300-400 pounds and they've never, walked in a gym. But my favorite, that's hard because I got to change everything about their lifestyle. For somebody like yourself, high achieving entrepreneur, you're already working out, you're already doing a lot of the right things. It's just, I know you're going to do what I tell you to do, and because you're a high achiever, and it's just kind of fine tuning. And that's the most fun for me.
I love that, man. Well, we got lots of Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Paganis listening to the show. So if you want to go faster, be brighter, and get more fuel efficient, this is the guy we got to go to. For those who are running 4 cylinders, hey, he can upgrade you too. So metaphors aside, Russ, what a pleasure getting to know you just that much more. God bless you in the holiday season. My best to your bride and, of course, your 3 kids. I know what time it takes for you to be here and giving some of yours to us. So thank you so much for doing so graciously.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you, man. And I enjoyed the time. Like you said, it was a conversation, and I love what you're doing, man. I love your energy, your passion, and your purpose. So thank you.
Well, hey, man, together we're out there helping people grow richer in the things that matter most. And for those who've been listening to Courageous Conversation, thank you so much. We've been with my dear friend, Russ Yeager.
Once you start a courageous conversation, there ain't ever going back to an ordinary one.